Hello everybody, this is Mahadeva, the OG Thunder Wizard. Alright, so hopefully I'm online. Today we're going to be talking about the 10 physical signs that happen to you when you go through the metamorphosis of transforming into a perfected immortal, based on what we teach here at thunderwizard.com and maushan.thunderwizard.com. So we will be talking about those 10 signs. While we're doing that, take a look at that while I check to see what's going on. Am I streaming successfully on all of my channels? I'm on YouTube and I'm also on Twitch and a couple other places. Yep, we're doing good. So let's go ahead and get on with the video. All right, so 10 signs of becoming an immortal. So, if you're new to the channel, what we've been focusing on for the past, how many months has it been? We've been focused on it for a while. We've been focusing on this lightning qigong, which I have just released to the public for the first time in history, to my knowledge. And sorry, I'm getting lost here in what I'm talking about. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started with the 10 signs. All right, so 10 signs of becoming an immortal. So in left-handed Taoist sorcery, you have what's called becoming a perfected immortal. And we talked about last time how becoming a perfected immortal is not the same. It's not better or worse. It's just a different spiritual option for you. It's not the same as becoming enlightened, reaching nirvana. It's a different way of achieving moksha, liberation. And it is a path for people who enjoy physical power, who enjoy energetic power. So this is a path for somebody who enjoys physical sensations. That's why it's a left-hand path. So a right-hand path would be where you are seeking to become one and annihilate your ego to the emptiness and becoming one, the bliss of non-existence, non-differentiation. All right, so that's more of like a Buddhist or a Hindu type of enlightenment path. For the Taoists, for thousands of years, before there even was such a thing as Buddhism, there was this polytheist, magical sorcerer path of becoming a perfected immortal. And so in order to become a perfected immortal, you are seeking to change the human body. So the body at its most dense state is you're just an animal. In my ethnic tradition, you'd be called a dwarf. So you may think that dwarves are little tiny creatures with pointy hats. But if you look back into ancient Viking and Germanic mythology, you find out that dwarves are lower humans. And there are myths where you have dwarves and humans. They're actually, they're brothers. And one is a dwarf and the other is a human. And the human ends up actually getting a hold of this magical symbol called the Eyjolfur, which I think represents the 9 worlds, balancing of the 8 directions and the ninth world in the center. And he got it from his dwarf brother, who actually became a dragon. So he ended up slaying the dragon. So that whole thing about slaying the dragon, that mythology is really about becoming a perfected immortal. It's about shifting your vibration to your highest level, from dwarf, which is your unconscious mind, your psychological programming, the script that we talked about, your quote ego, the part of you that relishes in attachments and all that stuff. That would be the dwarf essence. But when you become man, or human, M-A-N, which used to mean, M-A-N used to mean human, but man comes from the Indo-European root word for mind, which is what the moon is. Moon was called man. And so man meant mind, and it meant the moon. And what does the moon do? The moon reflects the soul, the sun. So we've talked about that in many other videos. So becoming a perfected immortal is really, while in the body, achieving that state. And in order to appreciate this, we have to go back in time, and we have to look at humans the way our pre-Christian European ancestors did. So our pre-Christian European ancestors used to look at spiritual practitioners, wizards, seeth masters, these kinds of things. They didn't look at them the way we look at spiritual saints now. Even if we're talking about Buddhist saints, or if we're talking about Hindu saints, we look at them differently. We look at them through the eyes of being morally righteous. And so we associate spirituality and spiritual transformation with being morally righteous. And so that's why it seems so much like Christianity and Catholicism a lot of times. And this is why a lot of Western people who get into Buddhism and Hinduism, they actually end up projecting onto it sort of a Western Christian mindset, and they see these spiritual teachers as like saints or like Jesus. So they see them as being perfect, morally perfect. Our ancestors didn't see it that way. There were average people, and then there were the wizards. There were the shamans. There were the vitki, the wise ones. Wise, the word wise actually comes from the word wit, which means to see. When you say somebody has wit, it doesn't mean he's smart, it means he sees. They have the ability to see. So the wizard was somebody who saw, had the ability to see into the nature of reality. And so wizards were moral, some were amoral, some were bad. There were dark wizards and wizards of light, and there were some in the middle. And, there was the wicked witch of the West, and there was the good witch of the East. You know what I mean? So when we talk about becoming a perfected immortal, it's not that focus of becoming a good person. And that when you become a better person, you then become sort of superhuman, and people bow down to your feet and look up at you, and that's not what we're doing here at all. If that's something you want to do, that's go right ahead. That's your path. There will be lessons within that you will have to learn. You will have to come to learn that, in my experience, you'll go, oh, this has nothing to do with being good or looking good or being good or any of that stuff. And I have my lessons associated with this. I love physical reality. I love enjoying my physical senses. I enjoy physical activity. And I believe that I have a level of invulnerability to all the garbage that goes on in society. So the path of becoming a perfected immortal has the same goal as achieving enlightenment or moksha, liberation, nirvana, but it does it through a different means. Instead of trying to escape the body, trying to escape three-dimensional reality, we perfect it. So we perfect it by getting our internal experience and the cells of our body to vibrate, to resonate at the same level of the objective truth that exists. If we were Christians, which we're not, unless you are, then we would say something along the lines of, we are becoming like God. We are lifting our resonance to that of the divine. But it's really again, that to me, when you talk like that, it tends to spiritualize it. It tends to throw people in their ego. I don't want to go there. I mean, only the ego just means the self. So I like the idea of being a self, an individuated person. But I don't like we could call it a dwarf. You know, I don't want to get trapped in the dwarf pride, ego, you know, stuff like that. I want to be focused on reflecting the divine, which is what man means. It means the ability to perfectly reflect the divine. So when we do these practices here that, you know, I lovingly refer to as going through the Dr. Manhattan experience, when we do these exercises that you see me doing here, where am I doing? Let's look at this one. When we do these exercises, do I have the sound off? Yes, I do. When we do these exercises here, what ends up happening is that we are changing the vibration, the resonance down to the cells of our body. And when we do that, we then begin to reflect the perfection that does exist objectively in the universe. We could, you know, people have, when I give people a hard time about exiting the matrix, and I say, why do you want to exit the matrix? That's not going to serve you. You exit the matrix, you're going to end up somewhere else, but you're still going to have all of your internal garbage with you, and you will project that out of you, and you'll end up creating perhaps a worse matrix. But there is a perfection that is beyond even the matrix. The matrix is just what it sounds like. A matrix is, you know, you put it in a petri dish. You know, you have a matrix of some kind of nutrients and, you know, you grow something in it. The matrix is where we are able to transform, just like Dr. Manhattan. So the matrix is going to reflect what you project. And if you project that you're wanting to become Dr. Manhattan and you prove that through action, so to put this all together, if you've been with me for a long time, maybe now we're going to start connecting some dots. When I've been talking to you about the matrix this whole time, and I've been telling you that the matrix is a conscious energy field. My ancestors called it WYRD, W-Y-R-D, that which has been woven. Space-time. The three-dimensional space-time, the matrix of that is designed to create what you as man, divine mind in human flesh, it is designed to reflect what you take action on. So as opposed to wanting to escape the matrix that you think controls you, it's really just following your commands. And if you have the incorrect assumption that you are a victim and that life is unfair, that God has it in for you, that there is a cabal of secret politicians underneath the earth feeding on children, or that there are false beings of light trying to, you know, whatever your guilt trip is or your victim trip is, it's designed to go, oh, look, God wants to be miserable. God says that there are evil light beings trying to destroy them, so let's create some. A great movie, if you've never watched it, go watch it now, go rent it, go watch it wherever, is called The Sphere. Go watch that. Probably be able to watch it on Amazon Prime or something. That's exactly what we live with. Now, the difference between that movie and this one is at the end of the movie, they end up copping out. I won't ruin it for you. We don't cop out. We take responsibility, because that's the way that movie makes it set up, is that you could accidentally stimulate the Matrix to do all these things, but it's already doing it. It's doing it anyway. So again, I'm trying to bridge the gap here. These practices here, see, where am I going here? These practices here that we're showing right here, these practices are the actions that you physically take to tell the Matrix to realize within you your Dr. Manhattan status, to become a perfected immortal. Dr. Manhattan is a great example because, again, the basic difference between achieving nirvana and becoming a perfected immortal is that achieving nirvana is purely a spiritual thing. You're trying to get rid of your body altogether. You want to leave your body and just become this spirit. Dr. Manhattan goes through this transformation and becomes Dr. Manhattan, and then what does he do? When he goes off to Mars and he works on himself. And even though, he's upset, etc., but that's a good example of why the Taoists wanted to become perfected immortals. They wanted to become perfected immortals so that instead of losing their identity and having to start all over again and be reincarnated and have to not know who you are and stumble through life, instead of that, you retained your physical body, you perfected it, and then you did the work. So you would change your vibration to such a degree that you would phase out of this three-dimensional existence. You would go beyond the Matrix. You're not escaping it. You're using it and transcending it. All of this stuff that he's experiencing right there is coming from the Matrix. You transcend the Matrix, and then in your physical state, on a high, on a different dimension, in your higher dimensional thinking, you then can do the work. You can do the meditation, and you can become a god. That's basically a god is a human that has achieved this state. Maybe we can look at it in terms of the elves. We could look at the elves as those who have achieved becoming a perfected immortal. Okay, so use whatever terminology you want. Every society at some point comes up with the same idea. They have different mythology about it, but it's the same idea. But the important point that I want to stress with you is, again, the Matrix is here designed to follow your soul. When you operate from your soul, you will know intuitively. You won't have to think about it. You won't have to guess. You're going to have some karmic challenges surrounding it, but you won't have to figure out who you are, what you want, where you want to go. You are here to do something. You are here to take actions. And the Matrix is here to respond to the actions that you take. Because the actions that you take will reflect your internal assumptions. Bear in mind, it has nothing to do with what you believe. That's what Christians want to tell you. If you believe in Jesus, you'll be saved. You can be a total screw-up and a sinner, and you can be a horrible, amoral person, but as long as you believe in Jesus, you'll be saved. It has nothing to do with actions. God only cares if you kiss his ass, right? The Matrix doesn't work like that. The Matrix says, I don't care what you believe. I don't even care what you feel. I care about your actions because your actions will tell me, the Matrix, what your assumptions are. So here's the difference between belief and assumption. Here's one powerful difference. A belief is something that you accept intellectually. An assumption can say, I'm not this yet, but I am going to be. So I am going to take the actions to become this. So you assume that you are in fact Man, divine mind in flesh. You are a God. You are the one that controls this three-dimensional reality. It serves you. You have incarnated into this three-dimensional human lightning rod, which is really what it is. If you don't activate it, it doesn't become a lightning rod. If you don't activate it, that doesn't happen. You just stay a dwarf. But if you activate it, then you become this your physical body becomes this lightning rod that begins a process of transformation, where you transform, and the resonance of your soul, the cells of your body, the organs, the brain, everything starts to resonate on a higher level. And that is done through action. So it's done through, again, doing these postures and these forms. This is one way. I'm sure there are others. This is, in my experience, the most powerful one. But when you do this, you are taking actions that the matrix says, that person wants to become a perfected immortal. Let's start the process. Internally, the practices start to flip switches through the meridian systems, through the nervous system in the body, and then you go through this transformation experience. All right, so having said that, now let's take a look at the 10 signs. All right, so the 10 signs of becoming an immortal. Let's see, which one do we want? I think we want this one. All right, so the first thing that's going to happen when you start flipping these switches is you're going to increase blood flow to the extremities. So this has already happened. If you're doing the 90-day, which is thunderwizard.com, and then you click around until you get to Warrior 90-day. If you're doing the 90-day, then you have already experienced this. You've experienced an increased blood flow to the extremities. One of the first things that you'll experience is tingling in the palms, or increased blood flow to the palms and the soles of the feet. Especially if you do, especially if you do, do I want, what about that? No, we don't want that. Do I want that? What is that? Let's turn, nope, that's off. All right. Nope, that's nothing. No, I take it back. That is something. It's just, where is it? Give me a second here. I'm playing around with all my stuff. All right, never mind. Let's forget about that. We have to turn Dr. Manhattan off for a second. Nope, that's not it. Sorry. I'm looking for my... Let's do this one. So, when we do this stuff here, even the 90-day stuff, when we start doing this stuff here, what ends up happening, one of the first things that's going to happen is that you're going to open up the Lao Gong point in the palm. It also stimulates the fire element in the pericardium meridian, which is what we focus on. We focus on that, so that's gonna get opened up, and you're gonna have a lot of heat come into your hands. One of the first things that will happen is if you have like a lot of calluses on your fingers, or if you have like rough, dry fingers, you might start seeing calluses start falling off your hands. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like a caterpillar coming out of its shell. And you'll notice that your hands get softer. And so you never end up with those, those old people hands like that. Your hands will always be soft, and your skin will get softer. There will be more blood flow to the skin, and people will notice. So ladies, you want to have good skin? There you go. I get women commenting me on my skin all the time. So that's the first thing. And the soles of your feet. So one of the things that'll happen, especially if you're doing the spirit fighting practices, one of the things that's going to happen is that when you wake up in the morning, When you wake up in the morning, your hands and your feet will be, sorry, I'm just trying to get all this set up here. Your hands and your feet will be buzzing. You'll feel this throbbing and this buzzing in your feet. And so that's first one. First sign is you're going to see increased blood flow to the skin and the extremities, especially the hands and the feet. All right, let's keep going. So, second is awakening of nerve tissue. So the nerves and the meridians are connected. And when you start working with these practices here, you're going to open up the energy that is normally self-encased in the pericardium, which is the energy. It's really a goddess. It's a feminine energy that surrounds the soul. And when you start releasing that lightning energy, which is normally bouncing back and forth, holding the soul in place, it starts going into all of your body. And so it's going to start to work on the nervous system. So if there are blocks in the meridians, you're going to feel that. If there are issues with the nervous system itself, it may just start fixing those things. It may, you may have blocks that there might not be enough blood flow, and or there might not be enough electrical energy going through the actual nerves of the body. So it's going to start to work on the nervous system, and you're going to find things like you become more coordinated. Injuries start to go away, especially if they're psychosomatic, which many injuries that people have are psychosomatic. And the nerves in your brain, anyway, you'll see that. First you'll feel the blood flow, and then you're going to start to see some regeneration of the nerves. I'm not making any promises. I'm not saying somebody who had, got in a car accident and broke their back. I'm not trying to make any claims that they'll heal that, but you never know. Any case, so that's the second sign, is that you're going to see an awakening of nerve tissue. One of the best ones is deeper sleep. So in the beginning, one of the first things that people experience is some kind of change in their sleeping patterns. You know that you are lacking in energy if you can't sleep. People who can't sleep will often say, I have too much energy, I can't sleep. I said, that's not it at all. It's the opposite. Actually takes more muscles to close the eyes than it does to open them. You have to have energy to sleep. If you don't have energy, you can end up, being awake all the time. And at best, you'll crash. This means that you're under some kind of trauma. And a lot of people live their whole lives in a state of trauma. They just survive. There's some people that I tell them to meditate for 10 minutes a day, and they'll go, 10 minutes? I don't have 10 minutes. How am I going to find 10 minutes? They just, they are under such a state of stress, worried about everything. There's never enough time to do anything. And so at best what will happen is they'll collapse. They'll collapse for a couple of hours. They'll pass out for a couple of hours. So you'll see a shift in your sleeping. So that's one of the first things that happens. People will say, I did this practice to give me energy, but as soon as I did it, I fell asleep. I'm so tired. That's good. That means that your body, your cells, are finally regenerating themselves. And your body's saying, hey, you told us to regenerate. You told us to stop fighting. I'm going to sleep now, and you're coming with me. So lots of times, that's the first thing that happens, or you end up sleeping longer. You might sleep 8 or 10 hours. Again, this is all a sign of like the butterfly. You're in a chrysalis stage, and you need to regenerate. You need to change, let the cells nourish themselves and go through a transformation. One of the other things that can happen in the beginning is that you might end up being awake first couple of nights. Like you're just same kind of thing. The body's just getting used to all of the energy. But what usually happens is, if that happens and you end up, like awake for a couple of nights and not sleeping a heck of a lot, that will then calm down, and then you'll go into the phase of the regeneration, where you'll sleep a lot more. You'll sleep more deeply, very deep sleep. And for some people who've already contacted me, you wake up in the morning and you can't get out of bed. You feel really good. Your whole body's just pulsating with all this energy, and you feel just so comfy, and you don't want to, like the bed is just pulling you down. But that, again, is a very good sign. And so one of the things that you can do is just do a lot of deep breathing. So what happens is, when you're doing these exercises here, it's like lifting weights for the energy body. So the energy, you're telling the energy body to expand itself, to take in more energy from the matrix. The matrix has infinite life force energy out there. So you're sending the bat signal to all of the forces in the universe, the life force energy that's ambient all around you. You send out this signal to tell it to start coming into the body, into the nervous system, into the cells, and you're telling the energy body to expand. It's like weightlifting for the energy body, telling the energy body to expand. And so when you wake up the next day, it's just like going to the gym. You go to the gym and you work hard, you wake up the next day and you can't move. It's because your muscles are like, hang on, we have to compensate, and we're going to grow larger. So we're taking in nutrients, and we're taking in protein, and we're going to start building larger muscles to give you more strength to be able to do this work that you're doing. So when you do the exercises that I'm showing you here, when you do these things, then your energy body needs to expand. So when you wake up in the morning, do a lot of deep breathing from the diaphragm. Breathing in very deeply, exhaling. Do that until you feel the body tingling. This is a good sign. It's good for you, filling the body full of excess oxygen. All that stuff is good. And then get up and sit on the edge of the bed. Put your feet flat on the floor and sit with your spine straight, and look down at the floor. And then breathe in super deeply and hold it for as long as you can. Now you might feel like you're going to pass out. You might feel like that's okay, just fall back on the bed. That's going to be really, really important, because again, the energy body is, when you wake up and you can't move, the energy body's like, I'm trying to expand. So you give it what it needs. Inhale very deeply. Hold. Exhale. Keep doing that. You can also do, I teach this in other places, but you can do alternate nostril breathing, which is really great. Spend 3 minutes, 9 minutes, 11 minutes. Great way to start the day. Where you inhale, you plug the left nostril, you inhale. Hold. Exhale out the right. Inhale through the right. Hold. Exhale out the left. You do that for 3 minutes or 9 minutes, you're going to be raring and ready to go. You won't need coffee. Don't drink coffee. Don't drink caffeinated drinks. That overstimulates and taxes the adrenal glands, as well as a bunch of other nasty things. Instead of coffee, do 3 or 9 minutes of deep breathing and or alternate nostril breathing. All right, so that's, what is that, number 2, number 3? I don't remember now. That's number 3, deeper sleep. All right, so number 4, lucid dreams. Now, I can't guarantee when and how this is going to happen, but it will. There are so many things that could induce the lucid dreams. Let's just talk on a psychological level. So dreams can be multiple things. A lot of people ask me, what did my dream mean? Well, it's like, I don't know. I'm not your psychologist. I don't know. Because dreams are usually the unconscious mind showing you or indulging in a fantasy. I had a dream, when was it? And it was after I had trained really hard the night before, but I had a dream. I was looking in the mirror and I had all my hair back. I mean, I have hair here. It's just I got this bald spot right here. But I mean, I got a full head of hair. It would be kind of, it would be kind of light here, and then there'd be that, that stupid looking bald part in the back, and then the rest of it. There's plenty of hair here. But I had a dream. I was looking in the mirror and I had all my hair, and it wasn't gray. It was all black, and then, my hair used to be black. And I was looking at, I was going, I know that's not true. I must be dreaming. And I'm looking at myself and I'm feeling my hair, and I'm like, am I awake? I was having this lucid dream and I'm seeing my hair. Well, I know what that is when I do these practices, I start a process of regeneration. And you go through this reversal of age. The body starts reversing in age. And so that was my unconscious mind going, wow, I'm having this, experience. I feel so youthful. Of course, I woke up and, I'm still got a bald spot back here, and my beard is still gray, right? But that tells me what my unconscious is doing. So you'll have an experience of perhaps your unconscious fantasies. It may represent where you want to go. You may have a dream of where your soul wants to take you. Maybe you'll have a better idea of what your soul desire is. The unconscious mind also has fears in it. So you may have some dreams that represent your fears or your, the things that you're afraid are going to happen to you. That's what normal dreaming is. It's either your unconscious fantasies or fears. So that is one thing that can happen. There are experiences where you might actually leave your body while you're asleep in your lucid dreams. You might actually travel outside your body. You might actually go someplace. I can remember multiple times things like that happening. You may leave your body and your soul may go and travel and talk to somebody else's soul, but you'll actually remember what was said, whereas the other person won't. I had that happen a bunch of times, where I dreamed that I'd go and I'd talk to somebody, and we would talk about a bunch of things, and they'd tell me all kinds of things about themselves, and then the next day I'd go, I saw you in a dream last night. And they're like, yeah, really? I said, yeah, you told me this and this and this. And they're like, how did you know that? So you start awakening this thing where your soul can potentially leave. Again, I'm not making any promises. This is some of the things that can happen. And then you can have actual shamanic dreams where you communicate with a being, like a god or an ancestor. These kinds of things. So that's, what is that? Sign number 4. You might have lucid dreams. Number 5, greater emotional sensitivity. All right, so we spend most of our lives trying to suppress uncomfortable feelings. The vast majority of questions that I get about challenges and feelings, where people say, how can I get over this? Well, what do I do to stop that, to get over that? How can I get over my fear of failure? How can I get over my blocks? How can I get over these feelings? So the way to deal with that, sorry, I just got distracted by somebody telling me they were distracted. Sorry. So listen, I can't please everybody. All right? Some people like the music. I had to turn it off because some people can't stand the music. Some people like watching the screen, some people don't. Watch the part of the screen you can handle. Don't watch the part you don't want to watch. Put a piece of paper over it. Get up and do something. Put on your earphones. All right? Seriously. Guys, I'm not a jukebox. Do your best to learn. All right, so that's one thing. Learn how to tolerate your negative feelings. You're going to become more emotionally sensitive. As you're doing these practices, you are going to experience more awareness. It's like somebody turned it up. You may have some negative experiences, meaning uncomfortable. You may become aware that you've been angry this whole time. Because part of what happens when you stimulate the what do you call it? The pericardium, the lightning center. This is surrounding the soul. There are wounds. We talk about this all the time. That lightning is there to protect your soul from the harshness of three-dimensional reality. When somebody hurts you, when somebody disappoints you, when life disappoints you, these are very real wounds. And the soul, is not used to these, being hurt, being betrayed, being manipulated, the soul doesn't understand that. So this lightning energy, the power of the feminine Shakti that surrounds it, is there like a mother protecting a child, an infant. So as these wounds come in, it'll block and hold on to it, and it'll use that lightning power to hold on to that wound. And it's doing that so that you can then do the work. In some cultures still today, when somebody dies, they mourn for 40 days, weeping and wailing for 40 days. It's expected. You're expected to go through a period of mourning. You're expected to spend time alone. You're expected to weep. You're expected to let yourself have all these things. That's really important, because if you don't do that, that's going to get stuck. Get stuck in there, and then energy that would go to your body ends up going to holding on to a wound. And your pericardium is like, I'm holding on to this for you, but work through it. Work through it at your pace. So you're going to perhaps increase this. You're going to start doing more stuff emotionally. You're going to start feeling more stuff emotionally. You're going to become aware. You will no longer have the ability to shove down feelings you don't want to feel anymore. You're going to have to feel them. And it's really good to have a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, somebody that you can go to and talk through the feelings with. Have a journal. Write your feelings down. You may become aware you may need to go and mend something with somebody. If you needed to finally go say something to somebody that you've been holding on to, go tell somebody how much you appreciate them, whatever it is. But you will become more emotionally sensitive. The negative feelings are acting as a barrier to the positive feelings. So the ironic thing is we stuff our feelings down, and we use negative feelings to defend them. Anger, resentment, all the things associated with that, guilt. Those are all secondary feelings that are used as ways of protecting us from the real feelings. But when you work through the real feelings, then all of a sudden you have more positive emotions. You will have more love. Now, a lot of people talk about love, but love is frightening. It's a very vulnerable feeling to have love for somebody. And so people can talk about being spiritual all they want, and being, when they talk about being unattached. I'm not attached to this world. Well, that's just a way for many people to say that they are, that they're wounded and they're immune to their feelings, that they've desensitized themselves, they're numb. That's not detachment, that is denial, and that creates spiritual as well as physical illness. Trust me, it'll kill you. It kills people all the time. There are people dying of all kinds of diseases that are expressions of their unresolved emotions. So you're going to become more emotionally sensitive. You're going to have to work through some negative emotions to get to some positive ones. And then you'll be able to have more love, more tolerance, more patience, more kindness. You'll be able to give without any expectation. You know, and I give people an exercise all the time to, and I didn't make it up, but to go and do something for somebody, and every day do something positive for somebody else, but you can't let them know that you did it. You can't let them know. You can't, you know, the moment they find out it's you, it doesn't work and you have to do it again. And these kinds of things, you learn how to give unconditionally and not want anything in return. These are the kinds of things that can come with the increased emotional sensitivity. All right, so what is number 6? Cleansing of negative emotions. Well, I already talked about that, so I won't repeat myself. 7, increase in empathic abilities. All right, so I make fun of people who call themselves super empaths because in reality they're the opposite. They're actually sociopathic narcissists who talk about how victimized they are because of how much empathy they have, but they're actually the opposite. But you will, if you do this, you will be able to experience other people's unconscious state. So you'll be able to be in a room and you'll be able to know what's going on with somebody. You'll be able to sense it in them. And this will be good if you end up becoming some kind of a teacher or a guide or a counselor, because then you'll be able to, you know, help them to see that. I do it all the time on my channel, but not in the most pleasant way because it's my Aruda and I only have so much time. People ask a question, I say, let me help you. That's not really what you want to ask. What you want to ask me is, and I'll tell them, a lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's, you know, that's my way of doing it. Your way could be different. But you will get a greater empathy. Empathy, you know, the word empathy is completely used in a bunch of different ways. Empathy doesn't mean feeling sorry for somebody. That's not empathy. That's usually projection. When you feel sorry for somebody, you actually aren't empathic. You are projecting onto them your feelings you're unable or unwilling to feel. And so you project them onto others and then you cry for them and you weep for them. And what you're really doing is you're weeping for yourself because you're actually seeing yourself in them, but you're not conscious of it. So that's not empathy. Empathy is being able to see and feel and understand what somebody's going through without having to fix them. You can have empathy for them, you can have compassion, you might even feel a little sadness for them, but it's, you know that it's none of your business. You know that that is their path. There is a separation, there's an individuation where you're individuated from them and you don't have to meet everybody's needs. I mean, I'm struggling with that now because some people want the music, some people don't. You know, at some point, listen, screw you, I'm going to make a choice. You deal with it. It's not my problem anymore. You're individuated. Somebody's going through something, you know, they want to marry that, that drug addict girl. And you're like, I don't think that's a good idea. And they're like, no, you don't understand. We're meant to be together. I can fix her. All right. Best of luck. I'll come to the wedding if you want. But it's not my problem. That's their path. They gotta learn that lesson. I'm here. If they want my help, they can come and ask me, what do you think? And I said, well, since you asked, I think it's a bad idea to marry a meth addict. All right, so that is whatever number that is. That's number 7. Number 8, greater self-awareness. A lot of people talk about being woke. Talk about being woke. So being woke does not mean that you are now awakened to all of everybody else's problems. That's not being woke. Being woke does not mean I realize now what the government is doing. I realize what big business is doing. I realize what the, whatever conspiracy theory. Coming to be aware of what has always been the case with human beings, as somehow you found out some amazing thing about human nature, that's not being woke. Being woke is when you become aware of your unconscious selfishness. You become aware that when you were, like for instance, I see this in a lot of vegans. By the way, I got nothing against veganism. In fact, I can respect that. But when they want to tell you why you shouldn't eat chicken or fish or whatever you eat, that you need to be like, and you realize that that's not being woke. What they don't realize is that for a lot of them, they identify with the animals. And so they'll tell you all the horrible things that animals go through when they're being farmed for, your chicken nuggets. As true as all that is, and as worthwhile of a reason that would be to go vegan, again, I'm not, there's always a measure of truth in pretty much everything. What they don't realize a lot of time is that they are projecting themselves. If you talk to a lot of these people, you're going to find out they were abused as kids. They were abandoned, neglected, abused. And they see themselves as these chickens being strung up by the neck and their throat. They see themselves in those. And so when you're eating a chicken, they re-experience their trauma as a kid. They're not aware of it. And they project onto you that you're this horrible person. And so their need to go out and do that, even if it's a good cause, they don't see that because they're projecting their victim mentality onto the world. Some of them, not all of them, of course. But it's with everybody. It doesn't matter what it is. QAnon, veganism. There's a guy on YouTube, there's some Hindu priest on YouTube that his entire channel is about not having sex. And he has videos on there telling people the dangers of having sex. And, there's nothing, it doesn't say anything. I'll watch a video, it won't say anything, but it'll try and, guilt you out of having sex, that you should never have sex. And then there's all these people who, I think, I read some of the comments and that guy sounds like he's addicted to porn and he feels guilty about it. And that guy, So this is somebody, I don't know what's going on with that guy. I don't know if he's an unconscious, sex addict or if he's struggling with his homosexuality, but whatever it is that makes him decide that he has to make videos about not having sex. It's obviously his projection. That is not being woke. When you become aware that your ex-wife, whom you felt was, well, I don't know, I'm trying to make up something. And I'll just use my experience. My now ex-wife used to control everything I did. I mean, I couldn't even, if something came in the mail from a credit card company, she'd go, "What is that?" And I go, "That's from the credit card company." "Do you have credit card debt?" I said, "Yeah, I got a few $100s. "You shouldn't have any debt." "Well, you made it that we had to split our finances, so it doesn't reflect on you. So what the hell do you care what I do with my money? It's none of your business. You want to merge our finances? Then you can start yelling at me for having $300 credit card debt." But what I came to realize was that on an unconscious level, I wanted, I had unresolved mommy issues. So I married a woman that reminded me of my mom. So even though all the horrible things that she did to me and all that, I chose to do it. I did it because I had unresolved issues about my childhood and my mom, which is true with most men, by the way. It's true with women as well, of course. But becoming woke becomes aware that, I was selfish in this way. I was selfish in that way. It was selfish of me to want her to be something that she wasn't. You know? So, becoming woke means you become aware of your unconscious selfishness. You become aware of how you have been all of those things that you've been pointing fingers at other people. So this is what's increased self-awareness is. Learning how to become individuated. Being individuated means you learn how to parent yourself and love yourself to such a degree that other people, what they do or don't do, doesn't reflect on you, and other people's opinions about you doesn't reflect on you. You know, as a spiritual teacher, I honestly, truly don't care how big of a following I have. I don't care what people think about me. But so much so that when people leave me compliments, I brush them aside and I don't even address them. So if you've done that and you felt like, you know, he hasn't even addressed my comments, that's my issue. That's my false humility. That doesn't mean anything. But for some people, it's the opposite. For some people, they're so insecure that they want to be praised. They allow their students to see them as these divine, you know, bodhisattvas, and it's just the opposite of the same thing. I forgot what point I was trying to make with that, but point is that you become aware of yourself, and you become aware of your issues, your part, what you've done in anything, in any relationship, in any connection where things haven't gone the way that you wanted. You become aware of yourself more. You can still see into other people's faults. It's not that you don't see what's going on with other people. It's just that you become more aware of what you're doing, who you are, what you need to change within yourself, and you become less and less worried about what other people are doing and what they think and what they say. All right, so what's next? Let's see, where are we? We're way up here. 8, greater self-awareness. 9, reduction in dependence on others. So I already just started talking about that. That's called becoming individuated, which is what all spirituality and psychology is all about. I don't care what somebody's problem is, unless they have like an actual brain deformity. It all comes down to lack of individuation. The lack of having a fully developed self, where you can be with somebody or not be with somebody. I'm currently in a period where I am single and I'm not attached either way. If I were to meet somebody and fall in love, nobody would be happier than me. I'm also okay not meeting anybody. I'm also okay not being in a relationship where I have to be responsible for somebody else's feelings and needs, and a project, and going to their kids' recitals, and, you know, let's go and shop for candles now, and, you know, I don't have to do that. I don't have to take care of anybody else's feelings or invest in them and them me. You know, I'm perfectly fine in my own wonderful little universe. But I'd be more than happy to meet somebody if they met me at the level that I want to interact with, and all of that. So that's one example of being individuated. Either needing approval from others, or needing to compare yourself to others, Donald Trump, or, you know, anything having to do with either needing to run away from life or not being okay being by yourself. These are all signs of, you know, individuation. And individuation is, you know, in terms of relationships, is when you're sitting across from your spouse and your spouse says, I feel murderous rage towards you. I am so furious with you. And you respond by saying, really? Please tell me. Was there something that I did? And it's okay with you, whatever. You're okay with yourself, whatever's going on. They say, you did this and you said that, You can say, yeah, that's true, I did say that, but here's why I said it. Or you could go, oh my God, you're so right. I had no idea that I was doing that to you. And even though I didn't mean anything, I now can see why that would bother you. You totally didn't deserve that. One of the things that I've learned is that it's okay to say you're sorry, even though you're not responsible for somebody else's problem. Just because if somebody says they're upset and blah, 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 I can say, I am so sorry that I did that to you. It doesn't mean that I'm saying, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. I'm so horrible. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that I understand they have an individual reaction to things and that I have a responsibility to do what I can to try and meet them wherever they're at. And if I don't do that, I can acknowledge that, but I don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to spend any time thinking about it 10 minutes later. Whereas if you're full of guilt and you try and change yourself to meet all of their demands, or you try and guilt them out of it and gaslight them and tell them, no, it's your fault. I did that because you did it. These are all signs of not being individuated. So this is why when I talk about living in the Matrix and I have a relationship. The Matrix is an entity that is here to serve me. So if something comes up in my external reality, I don't have to go and take it on in any way. I can look at it a bunch of different ways. I can go, wow, I just manifested that. What does that mean? Is there something inside of me I'm projecting? Or, if something is going on in the world, it's none of that is a reflection on me. I seem to be able to coast through life no matter what's going on politically, no matter what's going on physically in the world. It doesn't seem to matter. My relationship with the Matrix is such that it reflects back to me my internal state. So at least I've achieved some level of individuation to the degree that I seem to have the ability of just living my life without even thinking about it and enjoying it while everybody else's things are falling apart for everybody else. So there's spiritual individuation, there's psychological individuation, but this is really the goal of all spirituality. This is the goal of all psychotherapy, counseling. It all comes down to that. I could talk about that forever, but I won't today. Number 10, now we get to the supernatural abilities. So that is the carrot that can be dangled in front of your face, wanting to have supernatural powers. I got into this stuff here for a couple of reasons. I wanted the martial power. I wanted to be able to be invincible on the physical level. I wanted to have the extra power of the energy. I wanted to be like, those guys in those fantasy kung fu movies, or like Gandalf. I wanted to have that. That was my selfish hook. That was the carrot that the universe dangled in front of me. And I got off on it. And that, if you want to call it ego, that ego drive to do that gave me the drive and the discipline to tolerate going through all of the intense experiences that Dr. Manhattan goes through. That process for me, I went so hard into these practices. I would sometimes practice for hours a day. 3-4 hours a day I would practice. And the energy was so incredible. But the downside is that I felt like I was being torn apart. I had to face all of those wounds in my heart chakra. I had to look at, continuously become aware of all of my unconscious issues, and it was horrific. But the stick, the carrot in front of me, not the stick, the carrot that was dangling in front of me was not only the very real physical changes that were happening to me, but the promise of becoming a Dr. Manhattan. Once I achieved a measure of it, I mean, at first, I won't lie to you, at first it was really quite amazing, and really I got off on it. And then after a while, I started realizing that, oh, okay, this is fun and interesting, but so what? Sort of like, you know, the first time you start lifting weights, you know, you lift weights and your muscles start getting big, and pretty soon you're going around like this until you realize, oh, there's a bunch of other people bigger than you are. And it's just not that big of a deal. Feels good, you do it. But then comes other supernatural abilities, the ability to read people's minds. Your empathy comes in. Your healing ability, if you are a body worker, like my teacher was a body worker. He used to, I forget what he called it, sports medicine or something like that. And he found out real quick after doing this that he had this ability to put that lightning energy into people's bodies, as well as know what was going on with them. There'd be times, you know, if I had a stiff back or something, and he'd be putting his elbow in, and he'd go, "What's going on with your mom? Why are you so upset about your mom? What's going on with your money?" Now he would just know. This is some of the things that come from doing this. Some people, you know, you're going to have the ability to maybe you'll get psychic abilities and be able to see into the future. Maybe you'll, you know, whatever it is, you'll be able to travel outside of your body and do things. You'll be able to. I don't know. It's endless. I don't know what your karma is and your orlog is that you'll have your own Dr. Manhattan experiences. Okay? So this is really what gets you into it and what can keep you into it. And again, I like to look at things practically, which is I'm well aware of the challenges and the discomfort, you know, that comes. In fact, the feeling that you're dying, that kind of stuff that happens, I'm well aware of that. But I'm also now I've trained myself to know that when I stimulate these releases and these transformations and the discomfort that comes, even, you know, when I have to get into I haven't done this in years, but, you know, get into the fetal position because of the horrific pain that's going through me, that's a good sign. That's a sign that I'm getting those powers that I want, that my hard drive is defragging itself and making more room, more hard drive space, more memory, more RAM, so that I can get that better feeling. The feeling that comes, you know, after Dr. Manhattan goes through being torn apart here. And then when he reassembles himself, you know, he's now no longer in a state of pain. Now he's in this feeling the pleasure and the power of having all of that. So those are the things that I do to get myself through the transformations. The other thing that's really interesting when it comes to physical health is that there are times when emotionally I will be just a wreck. Like my emotions will just be all over the place. You know, I mean, I was experiencing this last night, and I was like, what the heck is going on with me? I couldn't even think of anything. But what's interesting is that those times when your emotions are really flying off the handle, your body is healthier than it's ever been. So sometimes I'll stop and I'll go, I'm so grateful I'm feeling these emotions instead of them being trapped in the tissues of my body. And so it means that you've released the blocks within your physical body and all of the emotions that were wrapped up in that, either in your heart center or in your physical tissues. You know, there's years and years of denied emotions: guilt, anger, rage, loneliness, sadness, insecurity, betrayal. These get lodged in the physical body. And when you start to do this work, it releases them. And then you have all those feelings, and sometimes you won't be able to pinpoint what you're feeling. But you'll check with yourself physically, and it's like, oh, I don't have that knee pain anymore. I don't have that shoulder pain anymore. It's because it's now you're conscious of it. So now this is when you do the meditation. You do the meditations to see and observe. You do your mantra work. You do your, alternate nostril. You do your whatever, emptiness meditation, whichever style of meditation you do. That's when you go into meditation. And you are now able to, open up the hard drive so that as you become nothing, your energy body becomes everything. And you start to feel like this guy. So there have been times when I've been walking around knowing that I'm, having all this Dr. Manhattan energy in my body. Emotionally, I might be going through the roof, but you walk in and people will notice you, and they'll say things like, wow, when you walk in the room, I feel so much at ease. I feel calmness. I feel such a connection. You're flipping out inside, but that means that now your energy body is able to do its thing. You're able to channel energy from the universe, and people feel that. Demons will run from you, literally run out of the room, because you're vibrating at such a level that they can't tolerate it. Your awareness of your emotional issues, just that in and of itself, will make a demon go screaming out of the room. Because demons feed off of your emotional unconsciousness. If you have guilt and rage, insecurity, whatever it is, on an unconscious level because you and or society and or your parents and or your wife or your friends can't tolerate your feelings, and you have nobody to share them with, you have nobody to bounce them off of, you're sitting with them, you stuff them down, then demons come and they start playing with those feelings. They play with your unconscious rage and fear and insecurity and your delusions and your narcissism and your masochism, whatever it is, they'll play with that. But if you're aware of it and you're feeling it, you're feeling all those feelings, then that awareness will frighten the hell out of them. They can't stand the mirror. The Chinese have this thing called the Bagua mirror. And they put them outside the front of that's why when you walk into Chinese restaurants, there's those Bagua mirrors, those little 8-sided mirror, things with mirrors in them. Those are there to scare away demons, because demons don't want to look at themselves. So when you are feeling all of your feelings, positive, negative, neutral, whatever they are, you're now able to mirror. And because you're not holding it down or pushing it down, then people, when they're around you, they start to feel their feelings. That's what people have said when they've said those kinds of things to me. When I've felt like I'm coming apart at the seams, and people have said, I feel so comfortable around you. I feel so at peace around you. It's because I'm having all of my thoughts and my feelings. So again, those of you who want to ask me how to get rid of your feelings, I always respond the same. I said, who said you're supposed to get rid of your feelings? Don't get me wrong, I want you to have all the good feelings you can possibly have. But there's nothing written anywhere that says you're supposed to get rid of your feelings or overcome your feelings. Work through them. The last thing I'll say about feelings is that positive feelings are earned. Big muscles are earned. You have to go to the gym and lift. That's how you get big muscles. Positive feelings, self-love, love of others, acceptance, bliss, peace, happiness, gratitude. These are earned. They're earned not by being a good person. They're earned by taking action. They're earned by becoming aware of yourself. They're earned by going after your soul desire and facing all of the challenges and the karmic blocks between you and living your highest soul vibration. When you do that work, when you earn it through feeling and working through consciously your issues and taking responsibility, the end result of that will be happy feelings. Sometimes I get that as well. Like sometimes I'll just be walking around and I'll just get this flood of, oh my God, I am so happy in my life. I feel so good. I feel so fulfilled. what the heck is going on? And then I'll realize, for the past couple of weeks, I was working through this and I was doing that meditation, and oh, that's why I did the work. So positive things come as a result of working for them. And the stuff that I'm teaching you here, that's the work. And it's ironic that when you do some physical exercise, that you end up becoming able to do the spiritual work that all of the spiritual people try so hard to do. They deny themselves sex. They deny themselves certain foods. They deny themselves getting married or having money or watching video games, or they deny themselves all these things, in a desperate attempt to become conscious. And so instead of spending years and years and years in a monastery by yourself, denying yourself and starving yourself so that you can finally become aware, do this. Just do some weird things with your body that give you this strange feeling that releases all of it, and then you can feel it. You can do 10 years of work in, a month. I'm kind of not kidding. All right? So those are the 10 things that come as a result when you're working towards becoming a perfected immortal. So, all of this you can get at maoshan.thunderwizard.com. If you're not ready for that, you can go to thunderwizard.com and click around for the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. And now that we're at the beginning of the month, this is a good time to sign up, because that's when they renew the subscriptions, at the beginning of the month. I'm happy to take a look at any questions you have. If you just put a comment down, you're putting a target on your forehead. So let's go ahead and take a look here. A56 Lightning. I had and continue to have clear improvement in arm and hand strength with the 90-day Lightning Qigong. The wood posture is no joke. So, it sounds like you're also doing the Maoshan 5 elements. Yeah, it is no joke. So I have a request for everybody doing the 90-day challenge, or if you're doing the 5 element, do me a favor and just upload to your YouTube channel like a 3-minute testimonial. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I've been doing the 90-day Warrior Lightning Qigong, or I've been doing the Maoshan for X amount of time, and here are the benefits I've experienced. If you do that, I'll make a promo video and put your face up on my channel. But I really love hearing this, because this, I'm not making this stuff up. If you do it, these are the things, and it's like people ask, I want to know exactly what I'm going to get from this. I'm like, I have no idea. Just do it. I'm not even going to waste time trying to tell you what it's like. It's like, your first orgasm. When it happens, you'll know. I'm not even going to try and tell you what it's like. It's probably better than you can imagine. Just go do it. All right. Taylor Wooden, welcome to the channel. You're obviously new. Are you an immortal? Do I look like a physical person to you? I'm working towards it. So I haven't got there yet. As soon as I do, trust me, you won't be seeing me in the physical body anymore. Is sex bad or something? So Taylor Wooden, you sound like a little kid. Are you a little kid? Are you 10 years old, 12, 13 years old? So what we do on this channel is we have question and answers based on what we're talking about, which is what you're doing. If you have a question, do me a favor, write the word question and then have a well thought out question. Is sex bad or something? When have I said anything about that today? I haven't. So I think I answered that question. Jameson Colliday, question. You asked, is there a non-spiritual way to eat? What? On needs, desire, emotion, overeaters who eat to soothe. Your thoughts on desires that are actually desire. I mean, I'm not sure what your question is. Overeating, undereating. I mean, addiction to porn, gambling. I mean, it's all the same. You're distracting yourself through some physical something or other. Physical stimulation. Listen, this is another great reason to do the sets, to do the Mao Shan sets or the lightning qigong. Is when you want to go do something like that, like overeat or undereat, or go to Vegas and gamble and get hookers. Instead of doing that, go do the set. Because it's a way of acknowledging that you want to physically distract yourself from your feelings. So this is, again, what I love. The practical spiritual method is not pretend that you don't have them and guilt yourself about it. Go, wow, I'm really feeling like I want to go do something destructive. I'm going to go to the gym and lift. I'm going to go do my sets. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to meditate for 3.5 hours and get high off of my own oxygen intake. Acknowledge that you want some kind of physical sensation. I really am. I don't understand people that want to, flagellate themselves and try and desensitize themselves from their body as though that means something. I mean, you can have everything. You can have everything. You can have physical satisfaction. You can indulge yourself physically. You can indulge yourself emotionally. You can do all the things that feel good, or find healthy alternatives to things that you do that you think feel good. For instance, if you like taking drugs, if you think smoking weed is what it's all about and you find that to be a spiritual experience, it's not, but it mimics one. So when you're high on THC, your body is actually mimicking the experience that happens when you do these practices. When you do the 5 elements, the wood, like if you just did the wood set for an hour, you would get so high off of that. And you would actually release the DMT, you would release the other feel-good hormones in the body, and it would be real. There'd be no negative side effects. It would be the opposite if when you smoke weed or you take THC, it opens up the Ming Men, which is in the back, which sucks in all of the energy in your aura, and it goes into your head, and your head blows up like a balloon. So when they're high, when you feel like you're floating, it's literally because your head, what used to be your aura is now in your head, and your head has blown up like a balloon. But that experience of DMT and I forget the other feel-good hormones, and the extra chi in the body, because your body tingles, your nerves tingle. It's because you're forcing your life force energy into your experience, but it's going to be gone. That's why when you come down off of weed, people get sick. That's why people who smoke weed cough all the time. Because when the THC hits, the Ming Men, which is in your lower back, goes, it's like an aperture, and it sucks in all of the energy from your aura. You feel that, but it also pulls in gunk from outside of you. So it pulls in negative energy. So your body is now, the inside of your aura is filled with all this external gunk. In fact, people who can see, people who have the ability to see auras can tell if you smoke weed, because you walk around with this gunk in your aura. Not just the smoke from the weed, but the gunk that comes in that you pull in from outside of you. And then your body is now at a deficit, where your energy level was here, you smoked weed, your energy went up here, and then you went back down here. And now just to get back to normal, you got to smoke weed. You can have all the benefits, the real benefits, without any of those negative side effects. So I do this to get high. I do this to get high. And I used to just get as high as I could possibly get until I literally would pass out from the energy. I'd inhale and I'd hold my breath, I'd pass out. I have so much energy. I'd leave my body, be filled with so much energy. And I was still following that impulse to indulge myself in some physical experience. I was still indulging myself in wanting to escape, wanting to distract myself from my uncomfortable feelings. Now, the downside was is I became more aware of them, but I got high as hell in the process. So this idea that spirituality is denying yourself, I don't do that. That may work for other people. That does not work for me. You can have everything. You can have the money. You can have the good sex. You can have the good relationships. You can have the fun. You can indulge yourself in whatever way you want, but you'll know how to do it. You'll know how to do it without any of the negative side effects. So becoming an immortal, becoming a spiritual, achieving immortality, achieving ascension, can be an amazing three-dimensional experience, and I highly recommend it. All right, I don't know if I answered your question, Jameson. You're asking about food, and what I gather in there is something about, using food to distract yourself. Do the sets instead. Do something. Do one of these other things. Find a qigong practice or a set or one of these other practices that you like, that you get something out of, and go do that every time you want to overeat or undereat or smoke or drink or whatever it is that you happen to do. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I answered your question or not. Jameson Colliday continued, to rescue a child who doesn't exist anymore. Your thoughts on desires that are actually disguised conditioning to rescue a child. Yeah. So those are big, that's a big topic. And what we're talking about basically is, the script. And this is all codependence. I mean, what I'm hearing from you, Jameson, is that you're aware of what the issue is. The issue is that that the child that you've been trying to rescue can't ever be rescued by anything outside of you. There's no person, there's no substitute. You're not going to find for example, like I did with my first wife, you're not going to find a woman to replace your mother and fix that. Can't be done. That you have to become aware of that, right? But unfortunately, it can't be done. So you have to parent yourself. This is the whole thing I'm talking about, individuation. But bottom line here, Jameson, is that what I sense is that you're very aware of this feeling. You feel this emptiness. That emptiness inside of you, that black hole, which is that child that never got, what the mirroring that he needed to create a full-fledged identity. And so I'm sorry that it's painful, but you're at the best possible place you can be because you're aware. You have something that most people don't have. You happen to have a challenging thing to become aware of. But you are at this moment right now as evolved and as enlightened as is possible for any human because you are aware of your condition. Now you can do something about it. Unfortunately, there will be some pain, some sadness, some fear, whatever else. But I'm trying to offer, here are some practices that feel good. And they give you a bunch of cool stuff. Pick one and go indulge in that for a while. Every time you feel like, doing something harmful, do the other one and do it with the intent of, I'm going to be a good person. Don't do it that way. Do it with the intent of, man, I want to indulge in something. I'm going to go get high off of energy right now. I'm going to go do the wood set for 2 hours till I pass out. That's what I did. I mean, everybody's different. All right. Taylor Wooden, again, sounds like a 12-year-old. He's wondering if it's pre-recorded because I'm not responding to him right away. Taylor, welcome to the channel. If you want to ask a question, please write one. Isako, yo, Mahadeva. Question, what movies would you recommend us to learn more about chi, light body, elemental magic, shamanism, and lightning power? I mean, you won't really learn anything, but, any of them. Any of them. I mean, I just watched Yin Yang Master. Awesome. I don't look at them as fantasies. I look at them as documentaries. Any of them. Pick one. I don't. There's a bunch of stuff out there I haven't seen. Any of the Lord of the Rings trilogies, any of that stuff that allows you to imagine that people can become supernatural. And one of my favorites is, I forgot the name of it. When it comes back to me, I'll say it. Anyway, I don't know. There isn't a perfect list, but anything that inspires you to enjoy it, any of them. Jameson Colliday question: during the process of individuation, how did you cope with the doubt that arises about whether a desire and accompanying action is aligned or just a projection? Jameson, the theme is you have a problem having any feelings. Who said you had to cope? Who said you had to cope with the doubt? This is your thing. Your feelings are all of these. You have a hard time allowing yourself to be an individual, and the thought of being an individual is horrifying to you. And so you have to cope with it. You don't cope with it, my friend, you just have it. You don't get over the feelings, you just have them. Feelings are not facts. So, my answer to you is the same. Just allow yourself to have your feelings. You feel whatever it is, you feel. Did you just delete that? Did you delete your question? I can't respond if you delete your question. But here comes another one. Bit more utilizing one's own ego drives than selfish hooks to spurn oneself to channel. I'm afraid that embracing ego could turn into variation. Again, it's just you can't tolerate the thought of being an individual. That's what this is all about. It won't matter what I say. No matter where you turn, that mirror is going to pop up. You just have to sit with it, my friend. Just do what's in front of you. This is why I give the 90-day challenge. I tell you what to do in the morning. I tell you what to do in the afternoon. I tell you what to do at night. I give you a bunch of other stuff to do in between. If you have enough time in your workday to do all three of them, then you just do that. You wake up, you do the morning thing, you go to work. At lunch, you sit in your car eating your burrito. You do the lunch, before you go back to work, you spend 5 minutes doing the afternoon thing. Then you go to work, and then at night you come home and you eat, and then you do the nighttime challenge before you go to bed. You meditate. You wake up. You do. Some days you just do it. You just do what's in front of you. You just do the next indicated thing, and while you're doing that, you let yourself have every single feeling and stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to be perfect. Jameson, you don't need to be perfect. Human beings have all kinds of fucked up feelings all over the place. They have zits, they have snot, they have gas. They're imperfect. You are going to have all kinds of feelings. You weren't allowed to do that as a kid. It's the same question. You keep asking me the same question. How can I commit suicide and run away from myself? You can't. Learn to love yourself. Learn to, just have your feelings. What else? During the process of individuation, okay, all right, I got ahead of myself. Frederick Roach, question. I don't understand how people can meditate or do Qigong so much. I can only do horse stance 15 to 20 minutes. What do you mean only? If you do a horse stance for 20 minutes? Do you realize there are people that can't do it for 3 minutes? What do you mean only? And when meditating half lotus, my feet also get prickly at the same time. I know. That's why I don't sit in half lotus. So Frederick Roach, you're new to my channel. You obviously haven't done any of these things. You haven't done anything on my channel that I teach, right? So I invite you to go to thunderwizard.com. Forget that. I invite you to go onto my free channel and just type in Qigong. Go onto my channel and type in meditation or mantra. There's no shortage of things. In none of them do I tell you to get in a half lotus. And the postures that I teach, they're so powerful you don't have to do them for 20 minutes. You can if you want, but you don't have to. You're asking me if you have a block? No, you just sound like a human. The thing is that gets people to go past these blocks is well, I could be wrong, but the selfish desire to accomplish something. So, the thing is that, like, Chinese guys that stand in postures, in jongs for 3 hours, they're doing it because they want the abilities that are going to come. They want the power. That's how you do it. You first do it because, way back when you went to the Sifu and you had to do whatever the hell he said or he wouldn't teach you, and there was nobody else that was going to teach you. And so he would say, you'd walk in and you say, Sifu, I want to learn from you. He says, all right, stand in the corner on one leg. And you say, for how long? He says, until I tell you to stop. And then he gets up and he leaves, and he's gone for an hour, and he comes back and he knows that if you put your foot down, and he tells you to leave, so you don't dare put your foot down, and you're there shaking and sweating, after 3 hours, and you do it because there's enough desire. It's now so available to everybody. There's no carrot. So I'm giving you practices that get you so stoned, they get you so high that you don't have to motivate yourself past a block. You want to go past it because you want more energy. So you ask how somebody does that? I would say find a practice that you like even more than the one you're doing, so it's not just a bunch of work. I mean, I have so many practices that I do. When I go to train, I'll do there's a couple things I do to start, and then I do the 5 element sets. I'll do at least 5 or 10 of those, and then I'll do the full set, the hands of creation, which you guys have learned just a piece of. I'll do that for 10 or 20 times, and then there's a second set, and I'll do that one, and then there's a third set, which is the one that turns you into an immortal, and then there's another one beyond that, and then there's a Tai Chi one that I made up. I mean, I have so many practices that I do, and I do them because they all feel so damn good. And this way I'm not stuck doing just one thing. So, I mean, if you're stuck, and if it's boring and, then find another practice that gives you what you want so you don't have to go through that nonsense. That's what I'm trying to give you guys here. Zach Johnson question, I have negative thoughts and nightmares from my old past. How do I get rid of that? Again, Zach, listen. When did I ever say you were supposed to get rid of anything? Never. I can't answer your question for you. You need therapy. What little I know about you, you need therapy. Are you with a therapist? You need therapy. I would talk to your therapist about that. We can't heal ourselves, guys. We can't do brain surgery on ourselves. This is why you have to have teachers. This is why you have to have mentors. This is why you have to have coaches, therapists. You have to have these people in your life. Everybody who thinks that they're going to achieve nirvana on their own, watching videos and reading books, best of luck to you. It's not going to happen. Can't do it. You can't. It's just the way the things are built. Even the most advanced brain surgeon has to go to another brain surgeon if he needs brain surgery. Okay? Arthur Lewis, this isn't a question, but he says, I just had an experience I can't explain. The spirit fought in my mind. It was incredible. Almost ended up in the nut house. All right. I don't know how you want me to respond to that. It's not a question. Disc golf. I stood on a rock and stared directly in the sun for 20 minutes. Any comment on that? What a stupid thing to do. That's my comment. What a stupid thing to do. I know some people do that kind of crap, and I don't. I wouldn't do it. If it works for you, I mean, I don't recommend anybody do that. My comment, like I said, to me it sounds like a stupid thing to do, but I'm not you, so I don't know what you want. And again, bear in mind, guys, I keep telling you the same thing. Ask questions about what I teach. Disc golf, when have I ever taught sun gazing? Ever. Find one video where I've taught sun gazing. It just shows you come off, I'm just letting you know, you come off really narcissistic and superficial and childish, and it's like you're sitting there in class and you farted and you're just blowing your fart in somebody else's face. It's like you're just attracting attention to yourself and you're asking me about something I don't talk about. Nobody else is here to talk about that. You know, I mean, do you want to look, do you want to, maybe you don't care, but do you want to look more mature? Do you want to look more like you're in tune with what's happening? Do you want to look like you're not 12 years old or wrapped up in yourself? Do you want to look like somebody that is doing the practices that I teach? Ask me about what I teach. Because I can't help you otherwise. I can't help you. You come in here because you want my help? Ask me about something I can help you with. Yeah, so Zach Johnson. Yeah, what did I just say, Zach? Disc golf. I don't care as I appear. I study all religions and faith. Good for you. We're here to do something specific. So that means that you're wasting your time. So don't waste your time. Go on another channel where they talk about sun gazing and, you know, be of benefit to that channel and to yourself. All right, anything else? All right, nothing else that I can see at the moment. So, obviously, maoshan.thunderwizard.com. So, for those of you who you don't know what else I do, I have books, DVDs, a bunch of other services. You can go to courses.thunderwizard.com to see all of those things. And what else? For those of you who are doing the thunderwizard.com, that is the new Maoshan University. So I don't know, at some point maybe I'll change it into the Maoshan University or something. Lightning Qigong University, but that's the basics. If you, that's. I mean, I want everybody to have the experience that I have and do the Maoshan 5 elements. But if you don't want to do that, I recommend that you get involved in the Lightning Qigong and do those exercises, because the stuff that is coming is phenomenal. And for those of you who are doing the Maoshan, you're doing they're all Maoshan, but if you're doing the 5 element practices, the 5 element Kung Fu, you are going to need to also be a part of the university. So if you haven't already and you're doing the 5 elements, go and subscribe at the Warrior Lightning Qigong 90 Day. And for those of you that you're waiting or you're saving up or whatever, don't wait around. Go sign up. Sign up for the Warrior 90 Day and start doing the Lightning Qigong practices, because they're all connected. And this is, I'm really busting it out. I'm going to teach you guys the most powerful system in the world based on my experience. And those are going to be the 2 things that we're going to be working on. All right, what else? Somebody threw out a question. Arthur Lewis said, I looked into the sun, fought many masters, didn't win. Okay, I don't know what you're saying. Frederick Roach, question, does one engage with gods, egregores? How do they help, or do they even care about us? As an immortal, are we on the same level? Frederick Roach, I don't know. Again, I can tell by your question you're not doing any of my practices. If you are, hit me to that. But you're asking so many questions in such a general way. Each one of those questions is weeks of responses. So I invite you to come and do even the free stuff on the channel, because I talk about this stuff all the time. Go onto my channel and search within my channel. If you can, you know, on the channel page, you click the little magnifying glass, and up will come a search bar, or on whatever device you use, and search within my channel, gods, spirits. You know, I talk about that stuff all the time. You're asking me questions like general questions. You know, like what's the point of living? You know, I mean, it's just huge. It comes off as superficial. I really want to get in deep. In order for that to happen, you have to be doing the work that we're doing, so you can ask questions in line with what I'm teaching. Okay? What else? Nothing else. If you guys want to go get an astrology reading, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com, and you can also go to vincent.thunderwizard.com. What? Arthur Lewis says, I fought you too. Just tell me the same thing you were telling all the rest, so I know I don't know what you're talking about. So we don't put up with that. Either there's something wrong with you, like if you mean that seriously, like I think you need to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. If you're doing that just to be a pain in the ass, then I'm not interested. I don't want to play. Anything else? Nothing else. I think I've done all the business I'm going to do, so that's it. Thank you everybody for showing up, and take care of yourself, and I will see you when I see you. Let's see, what do I want to do here? I want to do this. Wait, Frederick Roach says, I have done some work on my channel. It's really good to actually write a whole sentence, so I know what you're talking about. I've done some work a year ago. You mean on my channel? I don't know what that means. The free stuff, some of the actual practices, what? I didn't want to mix egregores. I don't even know what the hell that is. Use words that I use just so that I can answer you. So you're saying that you mixed egregores. Good for you. I was doing something else. So you were doing another practice. Good for you. Why are you on my channel? Why are you coming here today? You're doing somebody else's work? Go talk to them. I mean, you're welcome here. But like you said, you're mixing. You're mixing right now. There's something to be said. I support you. If you only want to do one tradition at a time, then do one tradition at a time. If you want to do my tradition and you think you should only do one tradition, trust me, you're going to have no shortage of stuff to do. If you don't think you should be doing my tradition and somebody else's, I'm just telling you, I'd love to have the views, but as somebody who does this, don't waste your time doing two different disciplines if you can't feel like you're devoting to one. This is why your question bothered me. I can see that in your question. Your question comes off as you are distracted, superficial, you're unconsciously drawing attention to yourself. You don't know this, but you came on with that question to say, hey everybody, I'm going to throw in a word that he doesn't use so that you guys know that I do this stuff on the other thing. I'm going to ask a general question. Hey, look at me. Look at me. I'm somebody special. I know you didn't know that, but that's what you did. That's how I could tell. I could tell you weren't doing my stuff. Not that you need to be doing my stuff, but see what I mean? The question wasn't authentic. It wasn't coming from really wanting me to help you. What else? All right. So Frederick Roach wishes he could do several. Well, I mean, it's okay with me if you do several, but if you're not, this is a way of sabotaging. You're sabotaging your own progress. And that's the way to do it. You got to pick one. You want to learn fencing, or do you want to learn wrestling? Trying to learn fence wrestling isn't going to help you. Pick one. Otherwise, you're just going to be bad at both. Which is a way of staying stuck in your head and a way of not facing yourself. It's a way of running away from yourself. It's a way of distracting yourself. I know, because I've done it. All right, that's it for sure. I'm done. I'll see you guys when I see you. Be good to yourselves. Whoops. I want to do this now.